And here are the standings after that dramatic drop from round 8. This is the standings through round 8 between Magnus Carlsen and Carl Nakamura. Carl didn't play too well, got in a really bad position, and Magnus messed up, and they had an incredibly long draw. But these are the standings after 8 rounds. In first place, 5.5 points, Levin Aronian. With 4.5, Grishuk, who made a great comeback. MVL, Maxime Vacher-Lagraf with 4.5. Anish Giri, Magnus Carlsen. With 4, Veselin Topalov, who won the first leg of the Grand Chess Tour, the Norway Chess, but not so good in this one. With 4, my buddy Carl Nakamura with 4, Fabiano Caruana and Vishinan with 3, and Bohr Wesley with 2.5. 1 round to go. Looks like it's Levin's tournament. All he has to do is draw, and he automatically wins. So there's the standings after round 8 in the 3rd annual Sinquefield Cup. Hi folks, John Cordisco back again. Round 8 of the 3rd annual Sinquefield Cup, the second leg in a 3-leg series of tournaments called the Grand Chess Tour. This is the next to last round between a white current world champion Magnus Carlsen and his black Carl Nakamura from the United States. My buddy, big Carl fan. This is a very, very strange game. I'm not going to give away what happens, but I will say though, at the end of the video, there's a short interview with Magnus as well as a Carl, not together, but talking about the game. It's just strange stuff. Anyway, let's get to it. Carlsen is white, Nakamura is black. It's going to be a Queen's Gambit declined. We'll go through the opening a little bit. I was a little surprised that Carl played Queen's Gambit declined. He really needed to win to be in the hunt for first place. He's got this thing with Carlsen. He's never beaten Carlsen, even though in Zurich last year he was killing Carlsen and he let it slip away, unfortunately. But these things happen. Eventually will happen. Carl will win a game, and that'll be the end of it. But until then, we'll see how he does in this game. Knight c6, pretty much standard stuff. Black doesn't really want to take the pawn, so it ends up developing White's bishop for free. Pick up a tempo and away. Queen a5, Rook d1. I'm sure these guys have all seen this a million times. Computer calls for bishop b7. Now, Gary Kasparov was in the commentary area with Jennifer Shahadi and Yasser Seirawan and Maurice Ashley, and he was saying that I think bishop e7 was the old move. How these guys remember this stuff is beyond me. Bishop e2, knight e4, pawn finally takes, knight takes, queen takes, queen takes, pawn takes, pawn takes. Now, pretty much standard stuff. I mean, it's White's pawns are pretty shattered. The A and C pawns are isolated. It's okay. Rook takes, bishop takes. Now look where that dark squared bishop is on the side of the board. It's going to be very important later. Knight d4, knight takes, pawn takes, b6. That was the mistake, I think, for Nakamura, but it shows it on the computer as being okay. b6, king comes up. Now the queens are off the board, and the king becomes a very powerful piece. Bishop b6, rook b5. It's almost a pawn advantage now for White. Now I gotta say, I went through the opening pretty quick, but if you want to go back and look at it, Hikaru was not doing too well in the opening. He miscued somewhere, and he talks about that briefly at the end. Bishop d7, rook, bishop comes back, bishop f3. Now, it's a double bishop, double rook ending. Pretty complicated stuff, especially when you have both bishops. And they just control so many squares and cut off so many squares. You got to be incredibly careful. Bishop a4, rook b2, rook a d8, Rook to A1. Now this is the computer move as well. I mean, what's he going to do? He can't give up the A pawn. He has to go B5. Now that knight, or excuse me, that bishop is stuck there for a long time. Bishop C6. This looks like pretty standard stuff. I mean, White just still has a point advantage according to the computer. Carl has to go A6. That would happen if eventually this pawn takes, you lose another pawn, you're pretty much done. So he has to go A6. Goes after the pawn. He's going to lose it, but he decides to try to trade. And this, they said it was Magnus's mistake. Now, computer likes bishop G5 for White. And then F6 to blunt the attack on the rook. But he went bishop E3, and it's a second choice on the computer, and a very close second, I might add. So I'm not going to criticize Carlsen too much on that. Now, right now, the computer shows a 1.5 advantage almost. Carl's in a bad spot here. I mean, it's getting close to resignable. That bishop is so worthless on A4. He is in such a bind, and all of White's pieces are good. When I mean by good, they're all doing something. They're doing a lot of something. Now, Carl's got to be extremely careful. A5. F5 I think would have been acceptable too. A5. Bishop D6. This is where I think Carlsen starts to slowly make small inaccuracies that puts Nakamura back in the game. Rook B8. D5. Rook FD8. Now we're not even close to the level of these guys. I mean, they're world-class players, both of them. I mean, can you imagine this endgame trying to hold on as black, or even trying to play it at all as even White? Double rooks, double bishops. Holy cripe! What a nightmare! What a nightmare! King D3. He's trying to bring the king up. Still like F5. F6 maybe even. But he goes bishop F8. Bishop's still doing some good. He's just getting out of the way of the rooks. It's over a 2-point advantage now for White. Nakamura is, like I said, he's borderline resigning. Bishop D4. Goes F6. Control some squares. Stop the power of this bishop. Control some squares here. That's okay. King E4. And this is where I think a Carl kind of loses it. And it's a natural move. I don't think he knew what else to do. He went bishop D6. And now the computer's going up. It's a 2.5-point advantage now for Carlsen. Now, that's almost a whole piece. What he should have done, I think, is rook D to C8. And after bishop E3, king F7, bishop F4. It still sucks, but not nearly as bad. But after bishop D3, bishop A7 is computer's choice, and I agree. Second choice, H4, then G3. He decided to go C4. Now, it went from a 2.5-point advantage to less than 2 now. The computer's going back and forth. And I think he's letting Carl back in the game. Bishop F4. Look at this nightmare. I mean, look at this square right here. You got to be kidding me, right? Look at all the bishops and all the pawns. When the hell do you ever see that? This is craziness. Bishop A7. And he goes for F5 check. Trying to get some counterplay. He doesn't go for it, of course. He moves the king. Rook comes over. C takes. Bishop takes. This is wild. Absolutely wild. Bishop takes. Bishop C3. Now he's going to get the exchange back. So what it comes down to is after rook a to b1, bishop takes, rook takes, is Magnus has two bishops against the Carl's rook and pawn. And that a pawn is doomed. Rook takes, bishop b3. I mean, what else can you do? So they're slowly maneuvering around for a while. And this is where I think Carl gets back in the game. Rook b8, forcing a trade of rooks. It's less than a point advantage now. Bishop goes here. Rook takes, check. King h8. Well, there's no back rank mates, of course, because there's no white rook. I think Carl might be able to salvage this. Bishop d4. Rook b1. King come over. Pawn g3. a3. That pawn's getting dangerous. King d2. Remember, the bishops are guarding those little squares. h5. h4 to stop that. King h7. He's bringing the king up because you gotta remember he couldn't get out the other way because the bishops are controlling all these squares here. Bishop c4. Now we're on move 47. They're probably getting pretty tired. Goes without saying, this game goes on for a while, and it was the last game done. We're in the 8th round of a 9-round tournament. These guys are just tired, even though they're young. Pawn just to do something. There's really not much black can do. King comes over, rook e1. Bishop. Get a block in the bishop, or the rook, excuse me. f4. Bishop takes. a2. Now you see why, of course, why white can't take. Or excuse me, he can take. Miscued there. Rook checks. King. And now we're going to go through a whole bunch of moves very quickly. We're on move 52. And slowly but surely they're playing on, and they play on, and they play on, and they play on. And we're just going to keep going here. What it comes down to is that Carl's just got to cut off the white king from getting over. And we're going to go through a few more moves. Rook e2. We're going to go on and on and on. They're just maneuvering around. Nobody wants to give it up. Carlsen doesn't want to ask for a draw because he screwed up so badly. He thinks he might be able to do this if Carl miscues. And they continue for a while. And we'll see what goes on here. Finally, bishop takes, rook takes, pawn takes, king takes, and this is drawn. Bishop, king g3, bishop d1, and that's it. It's a draw. I got to give Carl this. He hung in there in a very difficult position. Magnus let him off the hook, and as a Carl fan, I'm happy about that. But that was a wild game, and Magnus needed to win this game to be in the hunt for first place. Next round is the last round. 11 Aronians in first place now, and I don't think Carl's going to be able to catch him. If Aronian just draws, he wins the tournament outright, no matter what. But anyway, folks, that's the crazy game from round 8. All the rest of the games drew. None of them really were that exciting, to be honest with you. In fact, one, I think it was Wesley So against Topalov. You start off with 2 hours for 40 moves, and the 41st move you pick up an hour. And move 43, I think it was, Wesley So actually had more time than he started with, 2 hours and 13 minutes when he had the hour. So he only used an hour for the whole game. So I told you how boring that one was. Anyway, folks, one more round to go. Carl can't win it. It will take a miracle for Magnus to win it, but hopefully we'll get some good games from round 9. And thank you for watching, and I also want to thank my new subscribers. I've gotten quite a few. Thank you very much. And don't forget to watch the short interviews at the end. And as I always say, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.
America's #1 player, Hikaru Nakamura. Hikaru, you looked dead to all rights coming out of the opening, but then a miracle happened and you were able to save this game. What were your thoughts looking at the position when it just looked like there was a big squeeze on deep pawn coming on the board, and all his pieces were so good.
Yeah, okay. I think, you know, for the millionth time I've played pretty terrible opening against Magnus, and it was just terrible. I mean, I felt like I could almost resign because basically, you know, I know that I had looked at this line some years ago, not recently to say the least, and I thought it was okay, and then at the board kind of I just made like 3 blunders in a row essentially, because when I played b6 I thought I could just go bishop b7, and then I conveniently just blundered this rook d7, rook c7, rook a1, and like, yeah, basically I could have resigned at that point, but I kept playing on, and yeah, I think Magnus had a million different ways to win, but he didn't choose the cleanest one, perhaps, and then when he didn't keep the rooks on the board, I think I have very good drawing chances, and I think I played
accurately. Were you
accurately.
shocked when you saw him play the move bishop back and allow rook b8 when he could have just played a bishop move and keep the rooks on?
Yeah, I was definitely surprised that he did it, but you know, it happens sometimes. Magnus clearly isn't having his best tournament. I mean, he's not the only one certainly, but yeah, just bishop b3. He said he forgot about rook b8 because after rook b8, I think. I have a feeling with correct play it's close to a draw, so it's, you know, I played well when I had to, but that still doesn't really excuse the position that I got after 15 moves.
Yesterday's game was a disappointment for you. Playing this game, almost lost. Now you've won the game. How are you feeling going into? I mean, now you've drawn the game. Excuse me, drawn the game. Let me not overstate.
Trust me, it feels like a win to say that for sure.
Touche. Going into tomorrow's game, what do you feel is going to be your attitude?
Yeah, you know, I have not played good chess here. I think I've had one good game, and I think in large part that was due to my opponent allowing me to play brilliantly my game against Wesley So, of course. But for the most part, I've just played bad chess here. I can't seem to remember anything I prepare, and then I play bad moves at the board. So it's been a bad combination, and it's been a bad tournament. But that being said, I'm still uneven somehow. I shouldn't be by any means. I mean, I feel like I should have lost at least like 3 or 4 of these games that I've somehow drawn, basically. So, not good. But that being said, tomorrow I play someone. Who do I play? Oh, I play Grischuk. Yeah. So I play Grischuk tomorrow with White. So I'm just going to try and do better than I have the last 2 days because the way I've played just it's not going to cut it at this level.
Well, we wish you the same good play and best of luck in the last round.
Thank you, Maurice.
Hikaru Nakamura, after a real miracle save, but still on 50% with a little bit to play for in the Grand Chess. #1 player, Magnus Carlsen. Magnus, today you had a completely winning position and then it all frittered away. What happened?
It was just one move. I just thought... Yeah, I just thought he couldn't play rook b8 because there was a check. I was
you mean bishop c4 was check? Is that what you're thinking?
I thought, just thought he couldn't do that, so just a moment of insanity. Apart from that, yeah, winning after the opening, then, yeah, I think there were probably many ways, but I think with the rooks on the board, it's just an easy win. His king is far too weak, and my bishops will eventually control the board. And but of course, when I allow the exchange of rooks, that changes the whole thing.
Yesterday, with the white pieces, you played inaccurately. Today, again, what's not right with your play right now?
I didn't make just one inaccurate move yesterday. Yesterday's game was pretty bad, but today was just a moment of insanity. I cannot explain it. I was feeling okay, and yeah, just a complete lapse of concentration. Shouldn't happen.
Yeah, we're not used to seeing you play this way. Now you have 1 round to go. You have the black pieces against Anand. What are your thoughts? If you win, there is a chance that you could tie for first and go into a playoff. What are your thoughts going into the next game?
Well, my chances would have been better if I'd won this game. So, I mean, yeah, right now I don't care about the last round at all. But we'll see tomorrow. But Right now, I'm just sick of playing so badly.
Understood. Well, we hope you can recover your form and clear your mind and play well in the last game. World champion Magnus Carlsen disappointed in yet another white set of the white pieces in a good position. We'll see how he does tomorrow as the Sinquefield Cup goes into its